Good afternoon, Saudi Arabia. Good evening to attendees joining from India. Solar Quarter, Asia's largest clean tech media firm, is organizing a series of webinars on emerging solar markets that are joining the Gigawatt Club and coming to age in 2020. In this series of webinars, we will discuss what these markets are, new kinds of challenges, opportunities, and give you a holistic analysis on variety of well-curated content such as policy, framework, market outlook. The key stakeholders' perspectives from leading IPPs and EPPs in finance and technology outlook, growth, and business opportunities. Saudi Arabia energy demand has been rising with consumption increasing by 60% in the last 10 years. The demand for electricity in 2019 was about 62.7 gigawatts and is forecast to increase up to 120 gigawatts in 2030. Based on the Vision 2030, the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia is aiming to reduce its dependency on oil reserves, diversifying its energy mix, and developing its significant potential of renewable energy. A dedicated structure within Ministry of Energy, the Renewable Energy Mix Project Development Office was established. In 2018, the ambitions of Saudi Arabia's National Renewable Energy Program were substantially increased with a 5-year target of 27.3 gigawatts and 12 years target of 58.7 gigawatts. In total, government is aiming investments in renewable energy up to $50 billion until 2023. Today, we will discuss the best strategies for partnership and the companies that are best positioned to capitalize on this massive potential market in Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. I would like to thank our sponsors, our presenting partner, Huawei Technologies, our solar automation partner, Airmax Automation Private Limited, and industry partner, KUA, for joining us today. Without wasting much time, let's start with our first policy and business outlook of Saudi Arabia by Mr. Ivan Waters, who is a partner at Eversheets Sutherland International LLP, Head of Clean Energy and Sustainability at MENA region. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, and good afternoon, and welcome to you all. My name is Ewan Walters. I'm a partner with Evershed Sutherland. I'm based in Dubai. Evershed Sutherland is an international law firm, and we focus on clean energy. We have offices throughout the region, including in Saudi Arabia, in Riyadh. I will briefly set out some of the challenges and the opportunities in the Saudi solar market. As has just been explained, the Vision 2030, as part of this Vision 2030, the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia is looking for diversification in the production of electricity. It has set extremely ambitious goals for clean energy projects in the kingdom. At the moment, is trying to deliver the diversification of the production of electricity through the REPDO programs. That's the primary means it has of delivering on the ambitious 40 gigawatts targets that it set itself. There's already been REPDO Round 1, which was the Sakaka project, the solar project, and then the Daj wind project. Then we are in the middle of the REPDO Round 2, which was 1.47 gigawatts of clean energy to be delivered through 6 projects. And we're reaching financial close on those 6 projects at the moment. And REPDO has also started the REPDO Round 3 program, which is another 4 projects, which is another 1.2 gigawatts of solar coming to the market. These projects regionally have been a great success. The key now is to make sure that REPDO Round 2 achieves financial close to give the market and the Saudi solar market credibility. There's plenty of interest in all of the projects so far, and that will continue once REPDO Round 2 reaches financial close. There's REPDO Round 3 already in progress, and then there's also a REPDO Round 4 coming. Of interest, is that there's plenty of liquidity in the market to fund all of these projects at the moment, which is great to see, with a mix of Saudi banks and international banks keen to fund these projects. How the projects have been structured in Saudi is extremely interesting and very innovative, and we haven't seen that elsewhere regionally. So you have three different categories of sponsors. You have local members, technical members, and managing members. And that encourages local Saudi participation in these on the sponsor side on these projects, which has been a great success, and it's enabled Saudi companies to participate in utility scale solar in the kingdom. It will also enable those Saudi companies to then look at how they can take those skills and those investment opportunities to other utility scale programs elsewhere in the region, for example, in Oman, and the utility scale solar program that are currently happening there. In addition to the REPTO program, which is the main program of utility scale solar in the kingdom, there are other areas of opportunity where utility scale solar could eventually play an important part. You have the so-called giga projects, and a lot of those giga projects will have clean energy as part of them. Solar will form an important part of delivery of electricity to these giga projects. You also have the private PPA market. So everybody is waiting anxiously for the release of the wheeling regulations. Once the wheeling regulations are published, that will open up another important area of the utility scale solar market in the kingdom, and it will enable people to generate solar PV in one area of the kingdom, wheel the power, and have the buyer of the electricity located in a different location. And that really will, or should, open up an extremely important area of clean energy production in the kingdom. So you've got the giga projects, you've got the private PPA market that people are waiting for the wheeling regulations to come out. You also then have other infrastructure projects, for example, water projects, which are starting to look at bolting on solar as part of the water production facilities. So it's not the primary infrastructure project, but it's an important part of another type of infrastructure project, like a water or a desalination project. And the scale of some of these projects could be quite big and of interest to the industry in Saudi Arabia. You've then got smaller scale projects and rooftop projects, which will also, in aggregate, play an important part for the solar industry in Saudi Arabia. And all of the things that I've just talked about will and should play an important part in Saudi Arabia achieving its goal of 40 gigawatts of clean energy power. So it's extremely interesting from achieving the target perspective, but what all of these things collectively will enable the kingdom to achieve is having a healthy solar industry in the kingdom. And by that, I mean having the confidence, developers having the confidence to start manufacturing some of the solar PV in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, but for them to have the confidence to make the investment decisions to start manufacturing in the kingdom, what you need is a healthy pipeline of projects, of utility scale projects coming to market. So seeing REPTO 2, 3, and 4 on the horizon helps. Seeing giga projects with ambitious drive for solar helps make these investment decisions, together with a healthy private PPA market and some of the smaller scale distributed energy projects. All of those things will give developers the confidence to start making investment decisions, to start bringing the manufacturing of solar PV into the kingdom, to have it located there. So that's all I wanted to set out at this stage. We'll move on to discuss some of the challenges and opportunities with the panelists shortly. We have EDF, Aqua, and Tacnia on our panel, and they're extremely experienced developers that will give us some of the flavor of the current climate in Saudi Arabia for utility scale solar PV. Thank you.
For the valuable insights, sir. Before we proceed ahead with our next presentation, I would be quickly launching few polls, and please note these polls are only for the attendees. Do you think Saudi Arabia will be able to achieve its 40 gigawatts PV target by 2030? Let's see what the attendees have to say about it. Yes, attendees are voting, I can still see. I'm closing the poll now. So 46% of attendees likely agree with it. Okay, so we have a mixed result that we have got. Thank you all the attendees. With this, I'll quickly move on to the next poll. Which segment will see more traction this year in the Solar Arabia solar sector? I'm closing the poll now. So the clear-cut winner here is ground-mounted projects. Thank you so much, all the attendees. I'll quickly move on to the last poll. Are you happy with the support given by the government for the solar sector during the pandemic? I'm closing the poll now. So we have again mixed results over here. Thank you all the attendees. With this, I'm going to stop sharing the polls and we will quickly move on to our next techno-commercial presentation by Mr. Hariram Subramanian, who is the CTO at Huawei Fusion Solar Smart PV Solutions. Over to you, sir.
Thank you very much. So let me share my screen.
Yes, sir, sure. Attendees, please note, you can start typing all your questions in Q&A box. We'll take it up in the end. Thank you.
So thank you very much. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Hariram Subramanian. I'm CTO of Huawei Fusion Solar Solutions, and it's my pleasure to meet everyone today, actually virtually, and discuss with quite a lot of PV enthusiasts about PV trends and also showcase some of our innovation and also introduce our next generation technology. So saying that, let me give a brief introduction about me and where I'm located. So I'm actually now located in the Huawei Global Competence Center for Power Electronics in Germany, in Nuremberg. So our goal here in Germany is to bring in the technological innovation to front run. So that means working on next generation technologies, and that goes into the product development and bringing in these next generation technologies applications, not only related to the PV, but also on data center and on mobile power, on electromobility, and on embedded power. So we are actually a competence center for everything that has to do with power conversion, bringing in energy efficiency, integration, and miniaturization. These are the key targets for us, and we represent quite a lot of technical bodies and working groups and standard organizations in bringing these kind of topics on integrating power electronics to power systems or to the grid, and also work very closely on power system related topics on grid integration, like algorithms, and as well as working on compliance related aspects. We have a PV testing lab and a showroom here, which is a functional laboratory. So we are able to provide to our customers globally in Europe a product demonstration and also help in integrating third-party solutions here. So saying that, let's also go and understand a little bit briefly briefly about the company. So what is actually impressive here is for you to take that around 50% of the employees are represented in the R&D. So they're actually working on technological development, product development, and on cutting edge research, and bringing in these kind of research to the customers for a variety of applications, especially in the connectivity segment, and also in the energy and connecting digital technologies in energy, as well as in communication and ICT technologies. So from the business side, as you can see, we have a very good sustainable growth here on the business. And what is interesting is to see our different business groups here. And impressive is the cross-pollination of ideas between different business group that brings in quite a lot of interdisciplinary areas. Like we have the carrier, consumer, enterprise, cloud, and AI. And from the enterprise, we also have the energy division, but it's working very closely with other divisions. As you can see that we bring in new technological advancements of communication also into the PV, as well as into our other energy domains here. So from the PV, so what's happening is it's very clear to see the reasoning. There is a scaling of renewables, especially to achieve the decarbonization targets. What is also interesting is the coupling of different sectors that's also happening, and that's also bringing in quite a lot of PV, like coupling of transportation, cooling, heating, and other industry as well. We also heard about hybrid desalination topics. So these are bringing in quite a lot of capacity that's going to be installed, let's say roundabout. We expect with quite a lot of think tanks telling around 8,500 gigawatts of PV. So with this installation, there is also, as you see, a trend in decreased cost, and the weighted average capacity factor is actually increasing. So this calls for a very fundamental question. So how to achieve this? And we will see today, and we will showcase some of the technology that will help to achieve this, and also bring in technological transformation in Middle East region. And we will see how from the technical side, which is very key, is the inverter, and ancillary components related to the inverters are able to help to achieve this in a massive scale. One important thing is that in order to do this achievement of bringing in a lot of, let's say, renewables in gigawatt scale, important is innovation. So innovation is, as you can see, what we have achieved with our string inverter solutions is bringing in quite a lot of technological advancements inside, moving away from the standard conversion from PV power to AC. We are able to provide much more than energy conversion. So it's not just an inverter, it's a controller, taking care of also tracker integration, taking care of also grid services, and providing support to the grid and so on, and the ancillary components that come along with it, like anti-PID solutions. This has been trusted, these solutions have been trusted by a lot of our customers, and that has resulted in this, let's say, consistently being number one, where we are also humbled to share the data here, as you see, from a variety of technical think tanks who have estimated this with a global shipment of around 130 gigawatts cumulatively. We have been achieving consistently from 2015 to be the number one in global shipments of string inverters. And we will also see the transformation that we are going to take in bringing newer solutions and technologies in the next generation products as well. To understand a little bit of what is happening, so we see, I mean, people are talking about rapid penetration, large scale, gigawatt scale projects. So this is going to bring in some challenges. So these challenges are because of, we are talking about power electronics connected to power systems. So power electronics are actually energy conversion, let's say, based on transistors and control algorithms. So there might be quite a lot of challenges which can happen in terms of, let's say, increased grid impedance, or other words call it as a weak system, or lower short circuit ratio. So we did some studies. We also looked into an aspect on how the penetration of PV will bring in, let's say, changes in the grid. And we see that there might be a chances of, let's say, a weak grid situation because of long transmission line, because of excavation happening in the middle of nowhere, and that can bring in some challenges. So what can happen is when PV penetration will happen, there is going to be a decrease in short circuit ratio. And also when one project A and project B comes into the same location, the existing value of the short circuit ratio will go down, creating some other challenges. So this has to be addressed earlier through control algorithms and also through the technology, and also through studies and power system studies and simulations to prove that the power system with the power electronics is quite stable and working in a controllable fashion. So that's actually important, and that's also very important to keep in mind that PV penetration rate will increase or decrease short circuit ratio or increase the grid impedance in the end. So that calls for a fundamental new way to think. So the fundamentally thinking is actually, as you know, we are talking about PV inverters, which are current source feeding current to the existing voltage source. But we have to think a little bit more advanced, to bring in as a system which can form the grid, for example, to work like a virtual synchronous machines, as you see here, where you are able to provide also a voltage source capability into the system. So basically power electronics with some control algorithms working on advanced microcontrollers and processors and signal processing units are able to provide, let's say, in order to bring in stability, to provide not just active power and reactive power, but also provide phase angle and also to provide frequency services, which could be effectively going into ancillary services and to have controllability and stability and also maintain frequency in a very, very strong way. So this is the fundamental way to think, not just as a grid tied inverter, but to think more in terms of grid forming inverter. And this is quite interesting to see how we can try to, let's say, provide this transformation through our technology and innovation here. So as you see here, so where we are thinking to put quite a lot of algorithms in the string inverter. We are also bringing in, let's say, storage solutions here, potentially DC coupled or AC coupled. And we are also bringing in our smart transformer station solutions to tightly couple and marry the PV inverter into this, and bring in controllability through the smart array controller to control the PV inverters for provision of reactive power, response time, and so on. In addition to all these standard requirements which the grid needs, we are also integrating the smart DC system for tracker control to provide AI-based methods here to make sure that the tracker aligns itself, especially when bifacials are used, because there is also rear reflections which needs to be taken into consideration. And in addition, bringing in diagnostics features through advanced IV curve diagnostics, which is happening from the PV inverter itself because of the amount of string monitoring and the precision that goes here. And then talking from the AC side, it's bringing in advanced algorithms that can work on, let's say, in power systems which are having heavy compensation units, and at the same time also if there is HVDC, which can bring in potential resonance in the power systems to bring in features like active damping there in these kind of resonance to avoid also, let's say, expensive filters or cost at the grid connection point. This together with the grid coupled storage concept is going to bring in quite a lot of, let's say, advantages to make the PV grid tied inverter work more as a grid forming inverters. And definitely these things would be monitored with the AI boost suite, as you see there, which is actually the monitoring system for diagnostics and also for O&M activities. So let's look into how we are actually moving here in the transformation process. So we are actually bringing, many people know, the 185 kilowatt inverter, very high power density, around about 80 kilowatts here. 80 kilograms for 185 kilowatts. Then moving there to bring in coupling for bigger modules technologies with the 200 kilowatt inverter. And we are also transforming to the next generation architecture, which I will showcase today, to bring in effectively, let's say, LCOE reduction to the power plant. And in addition to that, the ancillary components which we have been developed or for the anti-PID solutions, and to bring in, let's say, blocking PAD in early stages, and also bring in PAD recovery in the future, because there are environment conditions that can, let's say, accelerate the PAD effects in quite a lot of power plants, and this would be handled effectively through these technologies. So as I said before, on the storage concept, we are able to provide our smart storage solutions, either DC coupled or AC coupled, and with all the available, let's say, features that you can think, like doing cell balancing, battery management systems, and also looking into the safety aspects of the batteries, and effectively also giving in facility to monitor the cell level resistance, and also advanced cooling concepts that goes into the battery technology for utility scale integration, and with the extreme advanced diagnostics here for the battery solutions. As you can see how the architecture looks like, either as a DC or in an AC coupled solution. Thereby saying, I mean, the important thing is also getting compliance to all the projects. So it's not just, let's say, components, but also algorithms and studies that goes into it, where we provide close support to a lot of our customers here on all the aspects that the grid needs, like the voltage range, the frequency range, let's say active power reduction on frequency when it is moving up, or let's say when the frequency is moving down, to provide active power, and also the PQ compliance at the grid connection point at different voltage units, and also providing advanced fault ride-through features, not just low voltage ride-through, but also high voltage ride-through, and effectively looking into power quality aspects, not just for the current harmonics, but also for the voltage harmonics, because of the system interaction with the grid impedance plays an important role. So making that into consideration, I wanted to showcase you today, let's say, our next generation architecture that goes into the PV plant. I mean, as you might see that early days when people are in the PV, they were working with the 600 volts, let's say DC, and then moved to 1000 volt, and kind of now settled down to 1500 volts. So as you can note that the maximum system voltage is now 1500 volt. So we came up with an idea for the power station technology, which could operate with the maximum voltage that is possible, considering the low voltage directives. That means 1500 volt, and that brings in this plus minus 1500 volt, so, or the so-called bipolar DC architecture. And through this, we actually asked the fundamental questions, you know, how can we effectively reduce the BOS, EBOS cost, the installation cost, and also bring in high amount of reliability through modularity in the system. So this would be our new showcase product that we will bring into the market by next year, which will effectively transport 3000 volts. That means double the power, but still considering the low voltage directive. So in the end, it's not just a cost for the BOS systems, but it's also the efficiency of the power electronics and all the technology that goes here. There we will see drastic savings in the BOS, round about 1 cent, what we have estimated, and we're also able to support extreme grid situations or very weak scenarios, and it will have all our features like fuse-free concepts, and faster controllability for grid code compliance, where we are estimating less than 30 millisecond for controllability for reactive power response time and so on. So thereby saying that these innovations are key to bring in, let's say, the transformation, what we will see on the gigawatt level very soon in KSA. And we would be very happy to discuss this with quite a lot of our customer more in detail. So you can see that we connected the dots, and we are very happy and proud, and at the same time also very humbled to see that some of our products are actually working effectively there. And one impressive one is the Sakaka project of around about 405 megawatt peak. And we are more than happy to discuss more in detail with the potential customers and everyone on future products and solutions that can go into Saudi Arabia. So thank you very much, and for listening. And maybe it's an opportunity to visit people next time face to face and discuss more in detail. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for the valuable insights, sir. We'll be proceeding ahead now. I would like to give you all a gist of our industry partner, Kehuha, who has joined us today. Founded in 1988 and went public in 2010, Kehuha Group is a leading power solution provider in the world. With 32 years of industry experience and focus on power conversion technologies, KUHA developed diversified solutions for PV system, energy storage system, microgrid system, and EV chargers. KUHA products is applied in global commercial and industrial sectors in 100 plus countries and regions. The company is expanding in a significant speed and is listed in the global top class renewable energy enterprises for consecutive years. KUHA is committed to providing comprehensive and intelligent energy services to facilitate sustainable development of the world. With this, we will move forward with a panel discussion. The topic of panel discussion is going to be continuing exponential growth of large-scale solar status, challenges, and opportunities. We have eminent speaker panelists with us. Mr. Ivan Waters, who is a partner at Evershed Sutherland International LLP, who is the head of clean energy and sustainability at MENA region, who would also be the session chair for today. We have Mr. Hussam Ali Gailani, who is the head business development at Aqua Power. We have Mr. George Fayed, who is the CEO at EDF Renewables KSA. We have Mr. Talal Saifin, who is the head business development at Taknia Energy. I will now hand over the session to Mr. Ivan to take it forward with the speaker panelists. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So we're going to have a 40-minute discussion on the panel. We'll then have a 10-minute session at the end for Q&A. So I'll encourage all the listeners to submit their questions to us so that we can take those questions and give those to the panelists at the end. So I'll ask each of the panelists now to introduce themselves and to introduce their organizations. And as part of that introduction, it'd be very interesting to understand what they are currently doing in the kingdom. So that will deal with the first part of the session, which is the status. What's the current status of their involvement in the solar industry in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia? So if I can please start with Mr. Hussam Al Galiani, Head of Business Development at Aqua Power.
Thank you, Iwan. Good afternoon, everyone, and good evening to those who are now in the evening zone. This is Hussam Al Gailani from Aqua Power. I'm a business developer in Aqua Power. For those who do not know Aqua Power, Aqua Power is a developer, owner, and operator. We have been active in the market since 2004, starting primarily in Saudi Arabia in the cogeneration projects and the IWPPs. And ever since, we have basically expanded beyond Saudi Arabia to now working and operating in 12 different jurisdictions. Aqua Power now has around 58 assets, with a total asset under management of around $60 billion. From those assets, we are producing 5.8 million meter cube of desalinated water, making Aqua Power the largest private operator and owner of desalinated water. And we are also generating around 37 gigawatts of power from those assets. In Saudi Arabia, we have been, given it's our home country, we have been active in all the activities that I would say have taken place in the country for the renewable by and large. We are proud that we were awarded the first utility scale project in Saudi Arabia, the Sakaka solar PV, the 300 megawatt, back in 2017, 2018. Today, we are proud that this plant has been developed, financed, built, and operated according to its schedule in a timely manner. And ever since, we have been active and participating in all the other rounds that Ewan mentioned earlier. So we are, at least now, for REBDO2, we have participated on all the 4 projects in category B. And we are considering also seriously to, the participation in REBDO3. So that's pretty much it in a nutshell about Aqua Power and what we have been doing in Saudi Arabia.
Okay. Thank you very much. That's great. And if I can please ask Gregory Fayette, the CEO of EDF Renewables in the the kingdom to introduce himself and to talk about what EDF are currently doing in the kingdom. I know you're going to talk about some wind as well.
Yes, thanks, Iwan, for this introduction, and thanks to Solar Quarter for this invitation. So, my name is Gregory Fayette. I'm the CEO of EDF Renewable for the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. So, EDF Renewable, we like Aqua, we develop, build, and operate renewable power plants all around the world. And right now, we have 13 gigawatts under operation and 6 gigawatts under construction. And also, we have a 2030 objective also to operate 50 gigawatts of renewable, but including also hydraulic. Inside regarding the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, EDF, we are very proud to be awarded the first wind project. So it's not solar, it's wind in KSA, which is said to be the most powerful wind farm in the kingdom. And solar and also wind, we do think has a great future in the kingdom. Regarding now in particular the solar plant, where we are waiting for the result of round 2. But what we can say to the EDF, we did also participate to all the tender that were organized by the Ministry of Energy and REBDO.
Okay, thank you very much. And then lastly, we have Mr. Talal Asaifan, Head of Business Development at Taknia Energy. If you can please introduce yourself and let us know about Taknia as well, that would be great. Thank you.
Sure, Iwan. Thank you all and good evening. And it's really my pleasure to be with you today. This is me, Talal Asaifan from Taknia Energy. Just to give a brief about Taknia Energy is one of the Saudi technology development and investment company, which is owned 100% by the PIF. We are investing in the bankable technology in the kingdom and in the global scale as well. We have the first IPP and PPA project solar in the kingdom, which is Layla project with a 10 megawatt size. We are working with R&D center in the local market and the global to introduce emerging technology to the market, either let's say in the power generation or energy efficiency and etc. I would like also to add that we are now operating a manufacturing facility in the kingdom with a size of 100 megawatt. And this is all from my side. Thank you.
That's great. Thank you. That's very interesting to understand more about Taknia. If I can now start the panel session then, and we've talked about the status. I gave a summary of the current state of the market in Saudi Arabia, and each of you have talked about what you're currently doing in Saudi Arabia, which talks about the status. If we then focus on the next area that we're going to focus on the panel, which some of the challenges. So what are the challenges that you and your organizations are facing in the kingdom at the moment? They could be technology, it could be demand side, it could be production. So if I could ask Hussam, please, to start by summarizing some of the challenges he sees for Aqua Power.
Yeah, well, I think it's I would say that it's fair that there is no like one size fits all in terms of challenges. I think with projects being tended deployed every now and then, especially we are talking about the utility scale projects. I think the challenges will be always there for for each site specific project. There will be kind of its own set of challenges. Which is the nature of the business we are dealing with. But if we are kind of look at the larger picture and the bigger picture, I think the key in here is basically to see the pipeline happening. It's not a challenge, but it's more of an ambition that we keep seeing these projects, especially by REBDO and the Giga projects, continuing and happening, because there is also, I think, the expectation that's also building up on the stakeholder side, the in-kingdom stakeholder side, that these kind of technologies will be always competitive, will be always efficient, especially when they are looking at the grid and the costs of the grid. and managing that expectation is a challenge by itself. So being competitive all the time, despite all the the changes in the market. Now we are talking about COVID-19 and the implications of COVID-19, which we are if we are successful in round 2 of REP2, I think each of the developers who have won and awarded a project, they will start feeling those kind of challenges. And again, it's against a baseline or a base case that we bid for or we based on. So I think that there are, if I may say that, beside the the challenges that we would always encounter for each project because of the nature of this business, I think keeping up with the expectations of the stakeholders, that these projects will always be competitive, despite the fact that the market may change. I think also because of the expectations from the stakeholders that local content should always be be enhanced and improved as we go. I think the continuity of the pipeline and continuity of the project will be key for us to address that challenge, which is it's not only the developers that will be working on it. It's a joint effort. And I think delivering these projects in a timely manner is going to be, I think, of essence in this era, I would say.
Yeah, I think that's absolutely right. It's giving the credibility to the sector in the kingdom and making sure that round 2 reaches financial close, and then everybody gets confidence in the sector and in the market in Saudi. If I can ask the same question to Gregory, and what are the challenges EDF are currently facing or he sees coming up on the horizon?
What I will say is for EDF, I would say us, we are acting as an investor in this kingdom, and we are very pleased to see that the ambitious objective of the kingdom to deploy 60 gigawatts of renewable are being executed. And so far, we are very pleased and to see that Ministry of Energy and REP2 is succeed in achieving tenders. So round 1 was achieved with 1 solar project, 1 wind project. Round 2 will be soon finalized with 4 projects, 2 categories, A and B, and 1,400 megawatts. Round 3 is coming. So I would say for us, the challenge will be to meet all the objectives of the kingdom in terms of renewable. It is a competitive market, but as a long-term partner of the kingdom, as a long-term investor, we are very pleased, I would say, to participate in this market.
Great. And then I guess, Talal, from a Taknia perspective, what are you seeing as some of the challenges in the current market?
Very good question, Iwan. Actually, as we are a technology-oriented company and we do manufacturing in the kingdom, we faced the challenge that we are facing, that let's say the supply chain. For example, that we faced a couple of challenges during we ordering some of the raw material or sort of components from the suppliers. They don't have any stock. However, I'm talking about the upstreams. They do have some stuff for the downstream, but this really it was challenging. However, we are working now with the local partner as well to how we can localize some of the key components for the solar manufacturing in the kingdom. And we have roadmap, very good roadmap together with our local partners and some of the global partners as well.
That's great. Can I ask each of you specifically around COVID and what specific, if any, impact it's had on your businesses? And I guess it will depend where you are in the cycle, whether you're in construction at the moment, whether you're putting bids in and trying to arrange financing and EPC. It'd be interesting to hear what impact it's had and what you think might be the medium to longer term effects on your businesses of the COVID or a wave 2, if you like. Maybe Gregory, if you wouldn't mind giving us your perspective.
Yeah, thanks, Iwan. Well, first, obviously, at EDF, we are today this wind farm under construction. So it means that we have today more than 500 people on site. So for us, obviously, safety is the first priority, and we did put specific measure to limit the spread of this virus and to be sure that at all time all of our employees were safe. And for that, we are very pleased also to achieve the fact that we just reached 1 million hours of work for the Dumat site with any major incident. That we are very proud of. Obviously, COVID-19 has an impact on the renewable industry, but not only. And I have to say that the COVID-19 crisis is not finished yet, unfortunately. As I would say, from a macro perspective, I do think that the COVID-19 might also speed up the renewable transition worldwide, in the kingdom, but elsewhere, in all the major countries worldwide. So it is what we see that in the months to come, or at least when the COVID-19 crisis will be behind us, and I hope it will be soon, we might see more and more projects and bigger projects to come.
Yeah, and the same question to Hussam.
Yeah, I would agree with Gregory on that. Especially at the construction phase, we are not necessarily now in the construction phase in the renewable side, but we are also constructing other projects in the country and elsewhere in the region. I think health and safety is a matter of essence for the delivery of these projects, and I think being cautious, applying the precautious and the necessary measures is a matter of fact. It's a matter of reality. But at the same time, we have also those obligations of delivering these projects and being on time. But when we look at the other phases, I think so far we have seen, at least at the beginning of this year and in the middle of this year, I think the world kind of, especially in the projects that are in development and in financing, I think people are still holding up to their commitment for whatever they have committed to before COVID-19, which is a good sign. Now, going into the new projects, I think that will be different. That will be, I think, different, and I think it's a fact that it will be different. And the difference will not be necessarily due to COVID-19. I think COVID-19, along with other economic developments that are happening in the US, for example, availability of liquidity, so on and so forth. So not necessarily because of COVID-19, but the market, the world now is going through a major transition, especially for the next 6 months. I think that's when we will start to see and feel the actual implications of COVID-19. I think the in between for those projects that are now around to complete its development and going into the construction, I think it will go through a critical phase where I think detailed and organized, coordinated plans and activities should be done in partnership with our clients, so that we ensure the smooth transition from development to construction. But yeah, I think it's for everyone. We are all in the learning curve. I mean, no one can say that this is the solution or this is the issue. I think we are all in this journey, and we are learning day in, day out. I mean, every day there is a new challenge, and we are. It's now a matter of resilience. It's a matter of flexibility to be able to match the expectations on all fronts.
How are things? Thank you for that, Hussam. Talal, if I can bring you in now, how are things from your perspective been impacted by COVID, and what challenges have you been facing, and how do you see the future?
Thank you, Yuan. Yeah, as we said, in the end of the pandemic, we faced a couple of logistics supply chain issues. And again, as the other gentleman said, that health and safety is priority number one for all of us. So due to that, and we have a couple of projects delayed and a couple of raw materials delayed to deliver. However, I think this is as it's coming as a lesson learned, that it should be, and it's part of the force majeure, let's say, item, and we need to be prepared. So we're prepared now for the future. We have now we do a recovery plan in order to close the project at least as soon as possible. I try to close the order on time and close some of the scope of work that we have with our clients in order to mitigate some of the delays and etc.
Thank you for that, Talal. I think I'd like to move on now to some of the opportunities available in the Saudi market. So one of the key areas that can transform and help transform the solar industry is storage. So I'd like to ask each of the panelists what their view is on storage and how they see the impact, and why, I guess, why hasn't there been greater use of storage so far? Is it related to cost, technology, a combination of both? Because everybody's been talking about storage for a long time, and then to actually see it having a material impact on a utility scale solar project, we're not seeing as much as I thought would have been at this stage, I guess. So maybe I can ask Gregory, what's your view and EDF's view on storage?
I do think first that the kingdom has developed a renewable asset, but so far the electricity mix of the kingdom is mainly thermal, oil and gas. So all these thermal plants can provide the flexibility that are needed for the system to have all the time generation equal to consumption. Obviously, I would not be surprised in the new potential round that will be organized by REDO, that the storage might be part of the equation. I do think that we see right now a strong cost decrease in terms of batteries. And for us as EDF, I would say it is an opportunity. We already have storage also in EDF. Today, we are more than 6 gigawatts of storage assets worldwide. It is mainly hydraulic, but I would say now that we have new technology that coming, such as battery, it will be for us also a kind of opportunity to bring our expertise and know-how, also to something to keep in mind. Innovation for us is part of our strategy. It is we do bring innovation in all of our projects that we bid for and that we win. So and storage is part of it. Just an example, for example, the EDF Group, from a yearly basis, is spending more than $500 million in terms of R&D. So we'll be very pleased to now use this expertise and skill for the future project.
Okay, yeah, they're very impressive numbers there, and it shows the importance of storage to an entity like EDF and the industry. Hussam, what's the how do you see storage, and what's the Aqua Power view on storage?
Yeah, I think what I would add to what Gregory said is basically that at the end of the day, when it comes to utility scale projects, at the end of the day, we are bound by what the client requires. And we know that it's a very regulated projects. Ministry of Energy along with ECHA, they kind of they have their own policy when it comes to what they want on the grid, with SEC. So, and this is what we have observing over the last since we have been operating in Saudi, that these kind of new technologies will take their own time until those stakeholders are convinced that they need them on the grid. Looking at, for example, the solar PV project, and I think Gregory pointed out that basically Saudi Arabia is still the grid, the energy mix now. I mean, it's a very reliable. They are still, the base load is still based on thermal gas, and therefore probably the need for storage is not there yet. But I think with more deployment of solar and renewables, I think the Saudi grid code, it is there. It is recognized as a measure, as a means for regulating the grid and making sure that the grid stability. And I think with those solutions becoming, I think there is also that dynamic in the energy storage domain, where you see the cost is going down, but you see also a number of solutions that are are competing. So I think looking at it from the policymakers' point of view, it seems that it's still a bit, I think, early for them to start deploying them on a large scale project. But I think with more and more, I think what I understand, I mean, we understand that last year, to announce that they have, they have the clearance to go out with no issues, stability will be there. So I think around that time, that's when we will see the discussion becoming more serious. And I think we should observe, and that's probably where the private sector engagement with the public sector could help address and make it make the demonstration, I think. And but that doesn't mean that we are not seeing it. I mean, today, probably you have noticed in the presentation by Huawei, today the giga projects, by BIF, they are now requiring some of the energy storage solutions. Red Sea is the first. Now we know that Qiddiya is in the process. We know that Neom is in the process, and definitely, I'm sure that there will be a need for, especially those areas that might be a grid on their own. Energy storage could be deployed shortly, but for the utility scale, for the grid, I think it might take some time.
Okay, and then Talal, you'll have a slightly different perspective on storage. What's your views on the impact storage could have?
Yeah, the energy storage is something really it's very interesting. Why? Because if we see the market now, there is some now new urban city, a new smart city coming, or giga projects coming in the future. There is a new initiatives coming from a couple of the clients or private, especially from the private sector. I believe the off-grid now, customer, they are looking for smart solutions, smart energy solutions for the off-grid application, for example, the telecom business, for oil and gas, and etc. So the battery business, it's something really, there is a big demand for it. And I do agree with Hussam for the utility scale. Maybe it will take a little bit time, but how we can grow this business line? I think there is 4 dimensions. We need to enable the technologies, creating business models, innovative business model, what is the market design, and how the system will be operated. So we see a couple of really attractive technology, especially from, let's say, gravity storage. And we do also work in some of the battery, which is based on the sodium. And as we all see now, the battery side of the lithium ion, which is leading solution for the storage, it's declining. The price of it's declining. So we believe in the market for the storage, it will be grow. And this is something really, it's very interesting, and we are working with it.
Thank you very much. We've got a few minutes left before we turn to some of the questions. We've had a stream of questions come in while you've been speaking. So one of the areas I want to finally look at is funding, and what's the perspective the 3 of you have on the funding of large-scale solar projects in the kingdom. From my perspective, I still see a very liquid, healthy market despite COVID. Looking at the utility scale solar projects, there's plenty of interest, and I haven't seen that change really on round 2 or round 3 despite COVID. But it'd be great to understand your perspective on the funding market at the moment in the kingdom. So I don't know, Gregory, and what your views are at the moment.
We'll see with the REBDO round 3 coming. The round 2 will be soon finalized, and with the round 3 then will follow just after that. I do think that the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, also during this COVID-19 crisis, show its strengths in terms of economy. Obviously, due to its oil, asset, and I would say that the signature of Saudi Arabia is a very strong one in the market. All the renewable projects that have been tendered by REBDO, they are also, I would say, the guarantee of the state regarding the payment of the tariff, and that the state of Saudi is on the market a very strong signature. So I I do think that the COVID-19 crisis, after that, the kingdom will be stronger than before. And that it will be good for, might be good for the funding, but we'll see after round 3. I do not hear you, sorry.
You are on mute, Ivan.
Sir, you'll have to unmute yourself. Mr.
Sorry.
Yeah.
It was a question for Hussam to ask him what his view is on the funding market in Saudi.
I think that's. I agree with your statement that still liquidity is there, and Saudi Arabia, the credit support that's available, as Gregory mentioned, to the projects, both the IPPs and the IWPs, provide enough, I think, support to the financing market, and I think that's for now and until few years to come. I think that would be always a good option for lenders to if they have to pick and choose from projects around the globe. I think what would be the challenge is the cost of financing as we go down the line, which would then be a question of it's the expectation of the stakeholders. Cost of financing goes up, then with the tariff that will come out in Chapter 3, Chapter 4, and so on and so forth, would be something that of interest for the clients. That's to be seen. So I think it's too early to judge, but that's to be seen. But I think on the other side, the equity side of it is also of equal importance, because effectively, you have the developers, the usual suspect, if you wish, Aqua, EDF, Albini, Master Energy, and so on and so forth. But I think the equity funding coming from institutional funds, from institutional investors, from local investors who have the ambition to participate in this project is equally important. And I think we should also observe for that. These projects, require a lot of commitment from the developers and from those investors. And the amount it's quality funding that you need on that front. That's where I think we will see. I think with REBDO 3, I think REBDO 2 with Category A. I think the development on those 2 projects will be of key interest for everyone to see how those projects will be developed. How the investors and the developers on those 2 projects will achieve their targets. I mean, definitely their success is key for the country, key for the market. Therefore, going to round 3 and round 4, those kind of money needs to be looked at and evaluated. And I think this is what is trying to achieve at the moment. But yeah, that's something. I mean, even us in Aquabor, partnering with local investors. We did that in Sakaka, for example, with our partners at Jihad, and we are doing that in round 2, where we are also partnering with local investors as well. That will help. I think we are now diversifying, and that would be of importance for the success and the continuation of the program.
Thank you for that detailed answer, Hussam. Talal, do you have any thoughts on the funding for projects in the kingdom at the moment?
I do agree with Gregory and Hussam. The country have a very good status of the economy, and there is a lot of funding options that we have in the country, either from the SIDF or from the lenders or banks, especially from the local banks. So I believe there is a lot of options, and yes, it's okay.
Thank you for that. I think we'll leave the panel session there, and that's 40 minutes, and that was extremely useful. We've had some questions in, which are very interesting. One of the questions which is of interest, and I'll read the question and then I'll invite the panelists to answer. So REBDO is overseeing 30% or a percentage of the overall target, the ambitious target, and then PIF is expected to deliver the balance of the target, which is, more the majority of it, so 70% of a large gigawatt ambitious target. And what's the panel's view on how that will be achieved, and what are their thoughts on that? So if I can ask Hussam maybe to give his thoughts on that.
Yeah, I think yes, I think we have all learned from last year from the ministry when they announced the policy of the energy mix by 30 and the allocation between gas and renewable, and then within the renewables, how to be allocated between the public tendering through REBDO and PIF. And I think yes, I think it's a question now of waiting for PIF to announce their plans, which I think they kind of hinted over the last 18 months or 2 years, starting from the announcement with SoftBank of the partnership with SoftBank, which then kind of got delayed. But that's a signal that the announcement last year by the ministry on the allocation and the energy mix suggests that this is still ongoing. And I think it's just a matter now of waiting for PIF to come and announce their plans. And I think the kind of the message is that will be linked to building a manufacturing base in Saudi. So it's a huge program by looking at the numbers, and it's a huge program. And one would assume that it will take its time in planning it and thinking it through, and getting all the support lined up by the stakeholders.
Especially to do it properly, as you say. Gregory, what's your views on the balance, the non-REPDO part of the target then?
First of all, at EDF, we are convinced that this objective is achievable. I would say at least for two reasons. One, because of the size of the market. The Kingdom is a huge market. It is, as it was said before, we might reach 120 gigawatts in 2030, and His Royal Highness, the Prince Abdulaziz, Minister of Energy, announced that 50% of renewable will be part of the Saudi electricity mix. Then I would say also the second asset of the Kingdom is the quality of the young Saudi population, the young engineers, men or women, that are, I would say, eager also to be part of this dream or ambition in terms of renewable.
Hello.
I do think that REBDO and SEC also, that is the off-taker, they have achieved to get the lowest tariff in terms of solar or renewable or wind farm. I do think that then to achieve this, to localize an industry, I would say that the Kingdom, with the state, we need to award, to give mandate for the much bigger scales in terms of project. Even if today 300 megawatts, 600 megawatts are huge, I do think that to be able to localize an industry, both on solar or wind, whatever is, I would say, the component of this renewable plan, you need to have a long-term vision, and you need to give more than a project on a project basis. And France and EDF, we have also a lot of experience to create an industry. It is tough. It could be in renewable or other sector. It is tough. It is difficult to create an industry. But us at EDF, we are both convinced, and we are both also very supportive of this ambitious, and we'll be pleased to support the PIF in order to achieve this vision.
Thank you. If I can ask Talal to comment on that question around PIF's delivery of the balance of the target, and then we can move on to another question.
Yeah, sure, Johan. So again, as we said, the PIF, there is a good target, there is a good strategy, and there is a new giga projects coming in the pipeline, like Neom, Al Qiddiya, and other Amala and Red Sea projects. So I believe this is a very good opportunity that all of us we are working on it. I believe the local content, there is a couple of initiatives now. For example, as I said, we do have now 100 megawatt. We are working on it. Besides REBDO and besides PIF projects, we do also working with private sectors. As we know now, a couple of, let's say, clients, especially from the dairy business and other business, they're working now to promote the renewable energy in their sites, in their facility. Also, a couple of off-grid solutions, especially for the telecommunications and the oil and gas and the military. So there are a lot of initiatives, there is a lot of opportunity, and really this is will support the local content. I believe the local content authority, together with REBDO, they release their strategy for their local content. It will be gradually increasing the local content portion, and yeah, there is a very good opportunity to localize the technology for either solar and the wind. They put like a matrix, what is the easy to do and what is the cost competitive, and this is really very interesting.
Okay, thank you. One of the questions that have come in is probably one for you, Talal. What are the challenges for local content requirements in the kingdom?
Let's say we are working now to build the ecosystem, which means from the upstream to the downstream. So we are working now on the PV assembly line. We are working also to develop the sub-components like the glass, like the framing, and other components. So we are working really, we have a very good journey with our ecosystem partners to develop all these things. We do have, let's say, the basic industries, we do have it in the kingdom. So we can do it. So because of that, we are creating now the ecosystem partner, how we can improve the prices of the raw material. Now, this is one of the main challenges that we face. It will be challenging to compete the prices that's coming from Asia. So how we can improve it, how we can improve the profitability that we have in our assets. So there is a lot of, say, action, task force team working together with the local partners, in order to develop such things and enhance the profitability of the manufacturing facility and the local content part of the kingdom.
Yeah, that's interesting. Hussam, what's your view on the challenges of local content?
Well, I think having now been through the Sakaka experience, and now I think we can say that it was a good experience. We managed to achieve and exceed the target that was set for that project in terms of the local content. It was 30% of the capex. Now we are looking at 35% of the capex that we were able to get from the local market. Now, let's not forget that the Saudi market, is not. We have already some existing capabilities in the market. Aramco projects, SEC projects, SWCC projects, all of those projects have allowed and enabled or created a platform for local investors and local content to be present. Now, what we observed and saw in Sakaka was, I think, very interesting for the development of the local content. We saw that there are investors who are willing, committed to build their own facilities, especially the truckers and the fabricators. And they basically did the basic things of how can we do business in Saudi Arabia in a project of back then it was very competitive, Sakaka. Be able to make profit out of that project. And what we see is that those very companies are now going out, trying to work with us. They are working with us in UAE, in Oman, in Ipri, for example. And they are also going beyond that. I mean, for example, Babtain, for example, they are now exporting to the US and to Australia. Now, this is the ultimate goal. At the end of the day, this is the ultimate goal for the local content. Local content is not just only to satisfy the local demand, which is, I think this has been the goal of the development plans of the government since forever. Now we are talking about creating a local content that can be exported. I think the first experience in Sakaka shows that this is possible. it's now a matter of continuity. It's a matter now of creating the platform and the pipeline that will enable not just only the likes of Babtain, but like Babtain and others to be also to exist in that platform, and also to be able to export. But I think, as Talat mentioned, that it has to be an ecosystem kind of thing.
Yeah.
You need also to have the financing, export financing needs to be in place. This idea needs to also to extend financing to those who are interested in the market. So it's an ecosystem. It's a whole.
Yeah, I think that's exactly right. Where you talk about to have a healthy, vibrant local content sector. One of the ways you can help achieve that is if they are competitive enough to export. And if you manage to achieve that, then you're not totally reliant, obviously, on the Saudi market, but you can service Oman, UAE, and other jurisdictions, and that's critically important. Can I ask Gregory for his final thoughts on local content? And then I think we'll have to finish the session then.
Yeah, it is. I think local content is an opportunity for the Saudi market. For sure, the kingdom will have the possibility, if they succeed, to export. But I do think that the first objective is to serve themselves, meaning that this industry, this renewable industry, will first serve the local demand, which is huge. And when this local demand will be satisfied, we say also at a good cost, I'm sure also Saudi Arabia will be able to export its know-how, its product worldwide. Even if I do think that Middle East will be at least the first market, but they can. So the kingdom will be able to export elsewhere than the Middle East for sure.
Thank you. I think we'll leave it there. We've just come to the end of our time. I'd like to thank Hussam from Aqua Power, Gregory from EDF, and Talal from Taknia for their time and thoughts on the panel. And I'll hand over now to the organizers to move forward with the next session. Thank you all.
Thanks, Iwan.
Thank you.
Thank you all the key
Thank you,
panelists.
Iwan.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you all the key panelists for your valuable insights, and thank you so much for joining us today. With this, we will move on with our next presentation on grid stability and IoT SCADA with comprehensive big data analytics for the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, Vision 2030, by Mr. Kumaraswamy Reddy, who is a co-founder and CTO at Airmax. Before we proceed ahead, let me give you a gist about Airmax. Airmax Automation Private Limited is a 15-year-old company having executed numerous automation projects across 3 continents, and their journey has been incredible. Having started as a system integrator, they have grown to become an OEM producing state-of-art softwares and power plant controllers for renewable energy domain. Now I hand over the session to Mr. Kumaraswamy Reddy. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, Sangeeta. Thank you for the wonderful introduction. Greetings, one and all. Let me share the screen. So greetings, one and all. At the outset, I would like to thank all the organizers and the dignitaries present here for this opportunity to speak in this Elite Forum. Based on the Vision 2030 for the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, as per His Excellency Mr. Salman bin Abdul Aziz Al Saud, King of Saudi Arabia, and Crown Prince Mr. Mohammed bin Salman, Kingdom of Saudi Arabia is heading towards decrease its reliance on oil incomes while broadening its energy blend and building up its critical capability on sustainable power. The world, as we know, is changing, and the key to change, catch up fast to this change, is to adapt and to the change rather than resisting and fighting the change. We as Airmax are here to support the vision of His Excellency in adapting to the fast pace in the world towards sustainability. Our solutions and services are like the final piece of the jigsaw puzzle ready to fit right into the renewable energy segment, ensuring grid safety and stability. In supporting this cause, firstly, I would like to showcase Airmax strength, which includes myself, my co-founder, Mr. Bhushan, and our director, Dr. Swakshare, who heads the Power Systems and R&D division. We as a team have more than 100 plus man years of experience and expertise in the power systems and solar automation domain, and have delivered a world-class solution for the grids across the world with state-of-the-art analytics. About us, basically I would like to say our mission is to equip asset owners in optimizing the plant performance with the state-of-the-art intelligent analytics, ensuring maximum grid stability. To give you a more brief about Armax Automation, it's a 15-year-old company with 84 plus people and 100 plus projects and 4 gigawatt installed across 3 continents. We have varied people in R&D, engineering, commissioning, production, and sales. And our vision is to empower asset owners with the best analytical tools to maximize ROI and reduce the downtime of the assets. And to talk about our presence, we have executed from a smaller 1 megawatt project to 250 megawatt projects across 3 continents, as I have measured. And to be also specific, we were the first company to have executed 125 megawatt in Oman for Amin Renewables, and which includes the plant accounting and settlement system. Here I would like to explain more about the products. We have PV SCADA, which is entirely built on analytical and extensive big database handling meant for big data. And we also have modules for tracker, where you can easily integrate any manufacturer of tracker SCADA, also along with the robot cleaning SCADA. Since robot cleaning SCADA, I've said, we also have executed project for Noor Abu Dhabi, one of the world's biggest plant till now, 1.17 gigawatt. And apart from that, we also have a products in CMS, central management of all the plants which you have in a different assets. And also we have our PAS, the plant accounting and settlement system, which involves complex need and deed calculations as per the different countries' requirement. And we also have a PPC solution meant for the solar, wind, hybrid, and battery energy storage systems, which is required by the stringent grid codes across different countries. On top of this module, there is something which we use for artificial intelligence and machine learning to, depict the failure analysis in terms of the prediction, where what is going to fail and how your assets are performing with respect to the trackers, with respect to the modules, with respect to the inverters, as per the commitment given by the OEM. And apart from this, we also have services which we can give in steady state and dynamic modeling in terms of PSSC, PSCAD, GPS studies, grid integration studies. And these are the whole gamut of products which we can support from the starting till the end. Some of our customer references, which includes across the world, we have worked with one of the best biggies in the world. This is an overview of a typical architecture where you can have a different solar plant modules combined on a ring architecture, and the secure data through SSL certificates, authorized public keys, going through a stringent IEC 62443 standards, ensuring it is met as per the grid code, as per the local cybersecurity requirements. And here I would like to explain more about the power plant controller. This power plant controller has features like active power, ramp rate control, frequency support, reactive power, voltage, power factor, and it can also do a stop plant generation. And the additional 2 features which I would like to claim are the first in the world are artificial inertia and power oscillation damper, which is specific and are also patented technologies by Armax. And the power plant controller is a vendor agnostic. So irrespective of the make of the inverter you have, it complies to the local grid codes as per the stringent grid codes mandated by the authorities. And we have executed projects with ABB, Fimer, Huawei string inverters, TMI, Sungrow, Tibia, Santano. And we are also compliant with the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia grid code, Jordan, Oman, Chile, India, Kenya, Zambia, Vietnam, and Israel. Some of the screens how it looks different from the conventional SCADA, because SCADA is an important part in any solar plant where you monitor a lot of data which comes from the field. You have to analyze, and the operator should make a sense of the data. So all the key knowledge process indicators are overlaid on the top, where you can clearly see what is producing, what is not producing, and what is the inverter heat map, how many inverters are producing, what went wrong, or what is not producing, which one are in ideal mode. And you have different process indicators of the graphs, yield versus irradiation. You also have inverter specifically comparison to compare different inverters on the vis-vis comparison on the production and capabilities along with the WMS. This screen also shows how the user integrating is easily accessible comparing to the conventional SCADA. It is much user friendly. The graphics look appealing. The user has a lot of functions to navigate through, and this also has a lot of multitude of protocols which can be integrated: SNMP, IEC 104, IEC 61850, Modbus TCP/IP as required by the industry. I would like to emphasize the benefits for the customer using the ready product. That is, you can accelerate the plant delivery. Less engineering time is required. It's a fit plug and play product where you can optimize also the plant performance based on the years of experience, based on the years of installation. We have learned a lot, and the same is implemented in the solution, which can be navigated, which can be used by any other customer. You can also use for managing the reporting. You can also use for facilitating and manufacturing, reducing the operating costs, where in-depth detailed analysis of each equipment, each device is clearly indicated. And we have a dedicated support team for different continents, different countries. And basically every solar power plant, any after sales support you have to do after generation hours, because in generation hours you can never touch the system. So we have a dedicated support team to cater to those country requirements 24/7, and we have different SLAs to help customer not face an issue. And I think I have reached the end of the presentation, so maybe I can take your queries.
So we'll take the Q&A later after the panel discussion. We'll take up the Q&As at the end. Thank you so much for your valuable insights. With this, we will proceed ahead with the last panel discussion for the day. The topic of panel discussion is going to be Saudi Arabia distributed solar potential, status, challenges, and opportunities. We have eminent speaker panelists who have joined us. Mr. Faris Al Suleiman, who is a co-founder, head of business development and strategy at Halal Energy, who would also be the session chair. Mr. Khalid Chibaro, who is the regional development manager at Yellow Door Energy. Mr. Ahmed Al Shahir, who is a business development captive at Altanar Energy. Now I would like to hand over the session to Mr. Faris to take it over with the other speaker panelists. Thank you very much.
Hi, Sangeeta. Thanks. Can everyone hear me on the panel?
Sir. Yes, sir.
Great. Thanks for that introduction, and thanks for your part in organizing the webinar today, and thanks to Huawei and the other sponsors. Appreciate the introduction. Is Khalid with us?
Yes, sir. He's there with us.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hi, Khalid.
Hi, Khalid.
All right. I'll just maybe take a moment at the beginning to introduce myself, and then give Ahmed and Khalid a chance to introduce themselves as well. My name is Faris Al Suleiman, and I'm a co-founder at Hala Energy, not Halal Energy. That would be quite funny, but it's Hala Energy, as in
I'm so sorry for that, sir.
That's all right. Which is the solar corona in Arabic, and and we do CNI in Saudi. So we install projects at the commercial industrial scale, and we're playing the role of an EPC and increasingly a developer. And we're a local Saudi company, and we're based in Jeddah. And we have a bit of a niche and hybrid project. So we do stuff in the scale of about 50 to 100 kilowatts, all the way to the multiple single digit megawatt scale. And those are kind of the projects we're focusing on with a particular interest in hybrid projects. And we've done some interesting hybrid project work recently. Ahmed, do you want to go ahead and introduce yourself?
Okay. First of all, I'd like to thank all of you, the organizers, the sponsors, all the attendees, Mr. Faris, Mr. Khalid. Good afternoon. I am Ahmed Al-Shahir, Sales and Business Development Capital Manager in Al-Fanar. I'd like to introduce Al-Fanar first. Al-Fanar is a Saudi company. It is established in 1976. We have two sectors, Al-Fanar Industrial. We have 26 factories inside KSA and outside KSA. The other sector is Al-Fanar Construction. Al-Fanar Construction one of the leading EPC company here in Saudi Arabia. One of the leading player in the energy market. We have Al-Fanar Bina for civil engineering infrastructures, Al-Fanar Power and Water, and Al-Fanar Energy. I'm working in Al-Fanar Captive Power. This is a subsidiary from Al-Fanar Energy. Captive means we are focusing on a small scale for a single user power generation plant. We are targeting, for example, like industrial factories, agricultural farm, commercial building, and large residential for a generation facility for them, for a single user dedicated for his own consumption. So our scope is different than the utility scope. Okay, we are working here in Saudi Arabia and outside also. Here in Saudi Arabia, we have more projects. We already execute in 2018 one of the largest rooftop system in Saudi Arabia in the industrial city in Riyadh. It's 4 mega watt system. And also we have another project now under construction with Al Marai, 13 mega projects. And outside KSA we have many projects, 63 ground solar in Egypt. Also wind projects in Europe. We have 720 mega in Spain, 300 in India, also waste to energy. In captive power, we have integrated solutions. We are working in solar plants, wind plants, biogas plants, biomass plants, conventional plants also, and waste to energy plants. Okay, this is a brief introduction about my company.
All right. Thanks, Ahmed. Do you want to go ahead and introduce yourself?
Sure. First of all, I would like to thank the organizers for giving us the opportunity to be part of this panel. Hi, my name is Khalid Shbaru. I'm the Regional Development Manager for Yellowdor Energy. Yellowdor Energy is an owner and operator of solar and energy efficiency assets. We're established 5 years ago, and now we have around 110 megawatts of solar assets which are operational or under construction. Our shareholders are the IFC, Mitsui, Epicorp, and Equinor. We provide 2 business models, one which is a solar lease or PPA, and then the other one is a shared energy savings model for the energy efficiency market.
All right, thanks for that, Khalid and Ahmed. It's good that we have voices from, I think, 3 different kind of companies. An old Saudi company, Al-Fanar, been around for a while and working in the industrial sector, and then kind of a small local company is our angle, and Khalid representing Yellowdor, which is a regional player. So hopefully we'll get a different set of perspectives to some of the questions that we can look at. I enjoyed hearing the last panel, and the last panel broadly organized the discussion into 3 categories, looking at kind of the current state of things, then looking a bit at some of the challenges, and then with an eye to talking about the future of the industry. So maybe broadly we'll look at it that way. I'll take the chair's prerogative to maybe chip in sometimes at the end after getting your comments, Ahmed and Khalid, and maybe at the end if we have some questions from the audience. We had a couple that came in before, we can try and answer some of those. So maybe we'll start by maybe a brief description of how you see the distributed solar market in Saudi. Who are the interesting clients, and how do you see things as they stand today? Maybe we'll start with you, Ahmed.
Okay. For the solar rooftop system here in Saudi Arabia, I think that our market is different than the utility scale. Rooftop, it is a small scale. You can say from 100 kilo to a few mega. Okay. So the interested clients is included for example, the industrial factory. Industrial factories, I mean, for aluminum factories, steel factories, cement factories, and other small factories. Also for the commercial building, like the warehouses, the medical warehouses, or the cold stores. Also for agriculture sector, we have dairy farms or poultry farms. They are very interested in that. Also for large residential like compounds or like resorts. So this is a 4 category. They are interested in solar rooftop system inside Saudi Arabia. For the market now, we in Fanar we have faced more some challenges. The first challenge is now in Saudi Arabia is the economics or the market upsets due to COVID-19.
Ahmed, maybe we'll get to the challenges. Maybe we'll get to the challenges later. If we could just give Khalid the chance to respond to the kind of the framing question. How do you see things as they stand now, Khalid? What's your view on the market, the CNI market and the distributed market in Saudi?
Sure. So Yellow Energy is basically we're incorporating YDE KSA at the moment. We've been actively business developing from the beginning of the year in the market of Saudi. The way we see the market is that there's a lot of interest, especially on the commercial sector. The commercial sector is, I think, the most interesting sector in Saudi, since the tariff is 30 halala, while the industrial tariff is 18 halala. So we see that there's a lot of promising opportunities at the commercial sector. The other thing is the net billing law. We see that it's out there, but the implementation is, I guess, it's a bit slower than what we expected. So it's promising, but I guess it would be much better when we have the net billing law out there, and when it's implemented fully, it will bring more confidence to the customer and to the investor.
All right, thanks, Khalid. Maybe I'll chip in here and say that from our perspective, also we think obviously that the commercial tariff is the most approachable tariff, both from an EPC sense and for clients looking for PPA solutions. Maybe as an EPC player as well, from our perspective, we've seen obviously the dollar per watt installation prices go down globally, even more than expected, maybe over the last year or two, which is now, I think, maybe a couple of years ago when we started Hala Energy in 2016 and 2017, the industrial tariff at 18 halala was really beyond reach, and payback periods were in the 10 to 14 year range. But because of the dollar per watts that we're seeing, especially over the last 6 months to a year, which I'm sure are the same for you guys in the UAE, that industrial tariff now is very much in play, and we're seeing much more interest from industrial tariff payers and agricultural tariff payers, and as well people in the healthcare who pay the healthcare tariff, which is also 18 halala in Saudi. And maybe even more than that, from our perspective, Hala Energy recently did kind of a long-term study with the Ministry of Energy in Saudi, looking at the agricultural sector, looking at 20 farms all over Saudi Arabia, and looking at different kinds of renewable solutions. And we were finding that for a large majority of these off-grid customers, solar PV in some capacity, in some hybridized capacity, was extremely competitive. And microgrid solutions that included storage sometimes are also becoming competitive. So that's an interesting kind of development that maybe more than a year ago or 2 years ago we wouldn't have thought would happen so soon. But it's a testament to the pricing, the pricing and the aggressive declines in the prices of components and installation that is happening globally, but also in Saudi as the market matures and there's more competition. So that has obviously its own set of challenges. So maybe we'll move on to that set of questions and ask first from, I think Khalid mentioned the net metering regulation from ECRA, which has been delayed multiple times and now is kind of still missing. We don't really know exactly when this is going to be rolled out in practice. I'm sure a lot of Al-Fanar's team, all our team are SEC certified under the in preparation for this program, but we haven't seen any development. So maybe more broadly, we'll start with Khalid this time, then go to Ahmed. What do you see are the policy challenges in the absence of this this net metering regulation you guys are incorporating in Saudi? What are you seeing as the main challenges from a regulatory standpoint?
Definitely from a regulatory standpoint, I mean, there's the, as per the net billing implementation law, I mean, there's a cap on the 2 megawatt per site, I guess, and a 5 megawatt on aggregate per customer in Saudi. So this is a limitation. I wouldn't say it's a, it will hinder. It's just a limitation from the side of the developer or from the side of a contractor. The other thing is, as I said, the net billing law is not yet implemented fully. So that's also a deterrent for us. But having said that, I mean, there's a lot of opportunities out there, and we see that a lot of clients are installing based on self-consumption, which is interesting. But at the same time, it's like a gray area, especially that what will happen when the net billing law is activated and customers have installed on self-consumption. Will they go back and get the permitting done, or will they stay on self-consumption? So that's like a question mark that basically we have in Saudi. Yeah.
Maybe tell us a little bit from your kind of non-Saudi portfolio in the UAE, for example. What percentage of the projects do you work on are part of the DEWA net metering scheme, and what percentage are self-consumption, just to get an idea?
So 100% of our projects are part of the net metering or Shams Dubai scheme. Even in Jordan, our projects are all under the we got the approvals from the authorities and everything. So none of our projects are not they're all connected to the grid. So we don't have a hybrid projects yet, or self-consumption. Self-consumption, we're actually working on a self-consumption project in Abu Dhabi, but most of our projects are on grid.
All right, Ahmed, maybe you can tell us from a legal regulatory standpoint, what do you think are some of the challenges or opportunities that you see?
Okay, I agreed with Mr. Khalid that the regulation of ICRA is already announced or launched in 2017, but until now it is a draft form, not implemented, and it's expected some changes in that. So this is a very challenging here in Saudi Arabia, because all of clients or major of clients wait the regulations to be implemented, because some of them, they have already a big roof, but for the consumption it is very low. So they need the advantage to put the system or to put a rooftop system in all the roofs and take the benefits from selling the solar to grid. So they postpone all their project and investment in solar rooftop system to the next year also, because now it's implemented now as a project of smart meters. Smart meters project, it is a step now to it will be implemented and finished in March 2021, and already that is a step for the regulations for rooftop systems inside Saudi Arabia for commercial and also for residential. So this is the first challenge in solar rooftop system regulation. Also, we faced another challenge. For example, the awareness of the special or single users. Here in Saudi Arabia, we have already for some customers like agricultural farm or like that, they not convinced by solar as well until now. So we have to big effort with them to convince them with that. So the awareness levels among customers and financial are relatively low still in Saudi Arabia. The other challenge also the economics or the market upside due to Corona virus or COVID-19. Already we have many biddings or many tenders this year, but all of them is postponed to the next year due to the Corona virus. Okay. Also, we have a big challenge in some clients there. It's regarding the facility roof readiness. Sometimes we have clients and have a big space in their roof, but after starting with them and checking the bearing of the roof to bear or to withstand the loads of solar panels, it is not compatible with the solar panels, and they have to change the roof. So also postpones the investment for 6 months or 1 year to remove the roof, the old roof, and to make another roof with the capabilities for solar system. This
All
is
right. Thanks, Ahmed. Maybe I'll chip in there. Also say that our experience on the ground has also been that there have been a number of technical challenges with our clients' rooftops. Often these roofs haven't been maintained and have been installed 20 or 30 years ago. And when coming in and installing a system that has a power production guarantee or a warranty that's going to last a decade or two, we find that these roofs present a number of challenges from a structural perspective and also from an installation perspective, and so this is definitely something that is a challenge for rooftop installers in Saudi, and maybe a call to people with industrial and commercial rooftops to think more in the design process and their maintenance about how they can prepare themselves for a situation or a future in which most rooftops or a lot of rooftops will have solar on them. And to that effect, Hala Energy is actually going to conduct a series of studies with our partners at the KSA Solar Center near Jeddah, looking at the installation of modules on different kinds of corrugated sheet metals and under different kinds of heat and humidity conditions, because as many of my colleagues know, that this has been a point of a challenge that some rooftop installers have faced in Saudi, and some of the earlier projects that were done in the 2010 to 2014 period experienced well, a lot of mistakes were made and projects had to be scrapped or redone. And so we're trying to learn from those mistakes and see how the technical conditions that we're operating in need to inform our installation processes. And so that's an important point that Ahmed made. And maybe more broadly on the regulatory and the regulatory challenges, I think I'd agree with Khalid and Ahmed in that it's been a shame that net metering hasn't come sooner. I'm sure us and a lot of our clients could benefit from some clarity about the timeline and how the process is going to play out. Maybe even more than that, also how other entities, other governmental entities, including civil defense and local municipalities, how they will fit into the licensing framework. And so we're eager for more clarity. And I think as and when that comes, the industry will continue to grow at a faster pace. And but like I said earlier, I think from our perspective on the ground, the pricing of solar projects has really surprised everyone, and has meant that even without some of these regulatory support measures, clients are more and more interested because the payback periods are attractive. And we have seen some positive developments. I think in the last panel, they discussed briefly the SIDF متجددة program, which is a debt financing program for developers and for industrial and other corporate entities in Saudi looking to retrofit their buildings for solar. And this is quite a positive development. We worked closely with SIDF to develop this program in 2018, and we're very keen to be some of the first users of that program. And so there are some positive developments even outside kind of this Econet metering thing, which bear mentioning. Maybe now we'll move on to new technologies, because it seems to be an important point on some of the questions and also on the agenda. We'll start with Ahmed this time, then we'll go to Khalid. Do you see any interesting developments in the technology space, modules or inverters, or in the rest of the balance of systems, perhaps in storage? Anything interesting coming up on your radar that you think is worth mentioning? Ahmed, we'll start with you.
Okay. The first thing I will talk about, the rooftop system. Some clients have a small roof, or a small space, but the consumption of them is very large. So you need the most or the best efficiency or panels efficiency. Now you know that the most or the highest panel efficiency is more 20 or 21%. But there is some new technologies in the panels, like bifacial panel or half panel. Half panel. This is a panel that is have two sides. So if there's a shadow coming for the first side, so the second side is still producing. So the efficiency of the solar is more than if it's only one panel. Also, some clients now not need only the rooftop system solar for generating power and reducing the electricity bills, but also for the marketing issues. Okay, to be, for example, the first warehouse in Saudi Arabia to put solar system. So there is also a new technology. This is a solar skin. Solar skin. This is a small layer, can be integrated on smaller panels or solar panels to give the look of the roof. For example, if the roof is a blue color, they can make the small blue color. If it's green color, it can make the solar with green color. Or you can also draw the logo of the company on the solar system. So if you anyone coming from upside and see the roof of this company, it will show the logo of the company. So this is also
Ahmed, has Al Fanar installed projects of that kind in Saudi?
No, until now it's no, but we discussed this was one resort here in Saudi Arabia in Qasim. Already they have a resort, and they have 50 chalet inside the resort, and the hip shape with red clay, and also they don't need to harm the shape of the chalet. So also we offer that for them, but still it's under negotiation. And also there is one warehouse here in Sudair. Also have this issue we need for a marketing, not only for a production or to.
Great. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Also
maybe we'll move on because we only have a few minutes left.
Okay.
So we'll let Khalid have a chance, are you guys using bifacial modules on some of your projects in the UAE? What do you see as what do you see happening in the technology front?
From our side, we're a technology agnostic company. We don't have any, affiliations or any agreements with any supplier. We just look at the best product out there. We have a white list, let's say, of suppliers that we qualify, or we look at the list every 6 months. So in terms of panels, I mean, it's amazing how the panels are becoming more efficient, and how you can fit more capacity or watt peak in 72 cell or 60 cell. So the whole industry is just the panel industry is just amazing how it's improving every year. I mean, we're using mono-PERC panels. We look at everything, glass to glass panels. So for energy storage, in terms of lithium energy storage, we're looking at it, but not in the GCC, more in markets like Pakistan, where the grid is not available all the time, where energy storage is actually needed to support during the grid unavailability. So we're using also energy storage as in these markets as well.
Thanks, Khalid. Yeah, I'll chip in by also saying that the efficiency of modules and the way that this is improving, and the kind of continuous announcements we hear from each of the module manufacturers of upping their game, and hearing of more and more efficient cells has been surprising. And also, I think on the storage side, we've been also surprised by the pricing we're getting for lithium ion over the last 18 months has also changed, and is bringing some kinds of clients off grid, remote site clients that maybe were on the fence about using some of this technology. There's a lot of opportunities, we think, in Saudi, and we're doing some projects along those lines. And maybe I'm not sure how much time we have left, Sangeeta or any of our colleagues. Are we wrapping up now, or do we have another 15-20 minutes?
We can have more 5 minutes, just 5 minutes more. We have received a few Q&A questions, so that can be taken up now.
Sorry, what kind of questions? I didn't hear the last thing that you said.
We have received few questions in Q&A box, so that can be taken up now.
Yeah, well, some of the questions are to do with, for example, residential solar. Maybe I'll say something quickly on that obviously I think our colleagues in the previous panel discussed this briefly, and that although there's a deep interest, I think Saudis in general are very much interested in this idea, and they see the developments on the news and they want to install. And we get a lot of inquiries for residential projects, but obviously the dollar per watt installation is the highest for some of these clients, and depending on the size of the residence, the tariffs start low and get higher. But installation is still, because of the way housing was built in the kingdom, installation is still very much a challenge. And we've done a few large residential projects where we have kind of sophisticated steel and aluminium understructures, but this is probably not easy to replicate on a large scale. I'm not sure either of your companies work on the residential scale, but do you have any thoughts, Ahmed or Khalid, on this?
For me, in Saudi Arabia, the residential is very limited in solar system, because as you said, the installation for solar for roof, all roofs in residential here in Saudi Arabia have equipment like AC and like that, so it is very limited space. We got some inquiry from palaces, but it's also very small space, so it is not visible until now. But maybe in large compounds, maybe in the future it will be okay but this is for big compounds.
Khalid?
So as a developer, it will be very difficult to look at 5 kilowatt or 10 kilowatt to finance small kind of systems. However, we have seen, like for example in Oman, a really nice initiative called Sahem 2, where the government is actually they made an application, and they have like aggregated maybe thousands of villas that are interested to put solar, and they'd like to ask the developer to sign with the government. And then the government will sign, agreements with each individual. So I think this idea whereby a developer can sign with the government for 1,000 or 5,000 villas makes more sense for a developer rather than looking at each and every villa. So yeah, this is an idea that I think can be implemented in Saudi for sure.
Okay, maybe we'll wrap up with a kind of final word about what excites you about kind of the industry. Where do you think things will stand next year or the year after if we have a similar conversation? What do you hope to happen, either from a regulatory standpoint or from a market standpoint? Maybe we'll start with you, Khalid, this time.
Sure. So we are really excited about the Saudi market. I mean, the commercial industry, we see that there's a lot of potential, and we're happy to support this industry and to help customers save on their energy bills and reduce their carbon emissions. We hope that the regulations are, that the billing law is out there and it's implemented, so it will make everything clearer for us and for the customer. And yeah, hopefully 2021 YDE, we have a YDE KSA born, and will be in the market.
Great, Ahmed.
The same. We are all of us hopeful in 2021. We have many projects postponed until now, and also we hope in 2021 we can penetrate in industrial sectors and commercial sectors. Already, if any factory make a solar system, so the others will change this for them.
All right. Well, yeah, maybe I'll quickly also say that we're excited about the market, and this, we could all benefit, I think, from some policy clarity and clarity on the timelines on some of these regulatory measures that we've been discussing. But I mean, with the continuing decrease in prices of components and solar becoming even more competitive, hopefully we'll see a lot more rooftops with solar every year, going through to 2030, and hopefully the distributed scale projects will play a big part in reaching some of these big targets that we were hearing about in the previous panel, and that smaller developers and suppliers and EPCs will play some role also in some of these bigger projects in the time to come. So thanks, Ahmed and Khalid. Good luck to you both, and thanks, Sangeeta, for organizing, and to Huawei too.
Thank you.
Thank you.
On behalf of First View Media Ventures Private Limited, I would like to thank all the key panelists for your valuable insights. Thank you all the attendees for taking our time once again and joining the session today. I would also like to thank our partners again, presenting partner Huawei Technologies, solar automation partner AirMax Automation Private Limited, industry partner KHUA for joining us today. With this positive note, we would like to conclude today's webinar. Thank you very much. Farisa, thank you so much for moderating today's session.
Thanks. See you all. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.